Right, so yeah, it was pointed out to me that there's an easier way to detect who is clicking, right? When it comes to an interaction entity. We don't actually need to store the UUID numbers, so we can get rid of all of this, and it is nice and simple. I think, wait, these are scoreboards? Yeah, so I don't need these either, right? They can all go. It's as simple as just using the new on section, right? So we have as, at, if, in, and now we have on. Exact. Well, what is in? In is dimension, right? Okay. So then we have on, right? Which this is to do with the brain of an entity, if that makes sense, right? So the brain registers, if it is leashed and who it's leashed to, who's attacking it, who's controlling it, where its origin is, its owner, its passenger, its target, and if it's a vehicle. So yeah, nice and simple, right? You still need to reset the interaction ID, right? So attack for attack or right click, and then interaction for left click. Did I mess them up? No, yeah, I did. Interaction for right click, attack for left click, right? So if we turn them off, what happens is, I think it lasts for a set amount of time, but we'll see, right? If I click on it, it says left and it says hit because I actually was playing around with it a little bit over there. But eventually it should clear itself, I believe. Interaction entities, no, interaction entities are different. Never mind, right? So you do have to manually clear them, or, well, yeah, manually clear them with a different command. But nice and simple, right? I'll just put them in chat. We'll go over them briefly. Let me just make a line or something so that we can clearly see what is new. Okay, so all we're doing is, again, checking the interaction entity. So execute as interaction, NBT, interaction for the right click, and then attack for the left click in brackets. So if this is flagged, something has interacted with it, whether it's an interaction or they've attacked it. And then we can do on target, which means the entity that has interacted with it, say right? So in this sense, if we right click on it, it says us. And then all we have to do after that is in a world, right? Use a chain command block to then clear the entity data, right, for interaction, so that it doesn't loop indefinitely. If it was in a function on a data pack, nice and simple, you just have it as the next line. So after that, again, still executing as the interaction entity, but data remove entity at S interaction, right? And then same for the attack instead of interaction, and same for in the brackets, attack instead of interaction. Yeah, so nice and simple to actually set up proper detection of who is interacting with interaction entity in a much simpler way than what we sort of went through. Don't worry, I took the video down. No, it's no use having that still up. But what I thought we'd do today is play around with on, because I have not used it at all, and it seems very, very useful. So I want to sort of figure out how exactly it works and what its limitations and what exactly we could use it for, because what I am most likely considering doing, right, with the next main release for Minecraft is not remaking, but going through my entire data pack, Runechant. If you don't know what it is, link is in the description, but going through it all and polishing off a lot of the commands, because for instance, the enchanting system I made for that was done before enchanting was released as a data pack component. The entity detection was done before on was a thing, and I can update a lot of the commands and make it a lot better functioning and also reduce the lag, and that is definitely a big thing because it is a very resource intensive pack, because it is quite a big pack. So nonetheless, right, why don't we jump into this? So my understanding is we can't use us as the base, right? So execute as all players, and then a specific player, right, on the target, so whoever we're hitting. I'm pretty sure this will not work, right? We'll turn that one off. Because we, as a player, we do not have a brain, right? If that makes sense. If one of you stays stationary long enough, I can do, of course, yeah, we'll do it this way. Data get entity, right, E, and we'll just do type equals husk, and limit equals 1, doesn't matter which one we grab, right? But up here, we have brain. So this is what sort of remembers all the interactions that goes on with an entity. Us as a player doesn't register. So for instance, that's why this command does not work, right? So whether actually it should work as attacker, right? Because we can be attacked and that's part of their memory, but it won't work as us targeting something, which is sad because that would make a lot of things straightforward in terms of creating, custom weapons or effects. You can still do it through, say, the enchanting system, and there might be some other ways to actually detect who specifically you're hitting. Yes, you can do it on behalf of the entity, but that means you'd have to scan the entirety of the entities, which is what we're doing with that one. But I think if we set this instead of target to attacker, for instance, and we'll still say hit, right? And we will game mode survival, right? One of them will come after us, And we can just do creative. Yeah. So now it's registering the husk because they're attacking us, right? So it's still executing on behalf of each player. And then when a player is attacked, it's running this command, which is just say hit. Now that is definitely better than what I'm doing over here. The reason for that is this scanning every entity. Even if you were to add in a limitation, right? So if we were to specifically set the type to husks, it still checks every entity that's loaded in the game, right? And then it finds which of them are husks, and then it continues to run the function. So regardless of whether or not you try to make a blacklist, doesn't matter. It still will cause the same amount of lag. So it would be much better if we could just, nice and simple detect who we're attacking, who's attacking us. But nonetheless, this is still useful, right? So for instance, if you were making something defensive, it could be as simple as just checking whether or not we have something equipped. So it'd be like executes as at all at s if data. Actually, I think there's an easier way to do that now too, right? Because you can do items, yeah. So entity, us, and then we could do armor body slots, and then we'll just do an iron chest plate, right? Make it nice and easy, right? So if we have an iron chest plate equipped, now it will run its function, and we can do, I don't know, effects, give at s. I always go with levitation because it's the easiest to show off. We'll do 1 and we'll do 99. We'll send it to the sky, right? So now if we get hit, right, we don't have an iron chest plate on. So if we hop back into survival, and I should probably give myself instant health while we're at it. But if you hit us, nothing happens, right? But if we go ahead and equip ourselves with an iron chest plate, it should now meet the requirements to trigger that, right? So now if we go game mode survival, right? Come at us. You hit us, and nope, I've done something wrong. What have I done? What's the command? Executing as players, right? At all players. If items on the entity's body is iron chest plates, and then on attacker, what we can do to make sure that that is the correct use of the item, we can just say run, say equipped, right? Nice and simple. This will tell us if we have something equipped, and no, it does not. Execute as all players. So that S in this should be us. Armor, body, of course. Body is for horses, right? And donkeys and anything else, and wolves at this point. Anything you can equip just one piece of armor to. Yeah, okay. So then we can set back on attacker, run, again, effect, give, at S, levitation, 1 second, 99, right? And now they should fly away, right? If we go into survival, wherever the little one's gone, yeah, bye-bye. So yeah, I'm just going to move away so they don't drop. Now, the other thing we need to sort of look into is how long the brain lasts, because it does obviously occur multiple times, and we could manually clear it, but if it doesn't last too long, we wouldn't actually have to worry about it, right? But yeah, they're gone. We should heal up first and foremost. Done. And then we'll go back into creative just for now. And what we'll do is set up a scoreboard, objective, set display. Nope, not set display. We haven't actually made it yet. And we'll just do count, right? Nice and simple. Just dummy, and then set display. So scoreboard, objectives, set display, sidebar, count, right? And what we can attach is a conditional chain that just does scoreboard, players, add to test, right? So we'll do test, count, 1, right? And this will tell us how many game ticks the entity remembers who it has attacked, right? So just in case it is basically going out of bounds, we'll turn back to say hit, right? Turn it on, and we'll go back into, no, I don't want to waste my egg. Game mode, survival, right? I need to move away from you. Oh, well, okay. So it lasts for 100 game ticks, which is equivalent to 5 seconds. So less than a goldfish? What's the metric? How long is a goldfish's memory? But yeah, so their memory does last quite a while, which is a bit of an annoyance, right? Means we probably do want to manually clear it, because what would occur, right, if we're trying to set up an effect to run, is it would run every tick for 100 ticks, meaning that, if we do 1 damage every tick, it will do 100 damage. So setting up somewhat situational effects, right? Similar to, say, the levitation. They're not actually going to come down. They just kept getting levitation, even though it was for 1 second, that they just disappeared, so to speak. So yeah, we'd have to clear their brain, which is a little bit annoying, but it would use the same sort of metric. So we can get rid of the item check. But instead of saying hit, if we go copy that, and we get rid of that, right? So if run say hit, what we can do is data, modify entity at S, so that will be the entity that's attacking us, and then I need to figure out the brain, right? So if we grab the data of the husk again, somewhere, there we are, right? Now I'm not sure where it is in the brain, so I think we just clear the brain data, right? Just straight and simple. Data modify, instead of modify, sorry, we go remove entity at S, and it should be as simple as just typing in brain, right? And let's hope that that works, right? So it should attack us. It should say hit once at this point. Come on. Nope. All right. So that's not where the detection is. Okay. That's fine. I will quickly look into that. Well, now that's a slight hiccup. You cannot remove data to reset it. It is always going to be a 5-second window unless the mob has an angry timer, right? In which case, when they stop being angry, it also clears. It's not stuck in the brain. It is literally just checking the game event, which is also curious because it makes me wonder if it's actually better off in terms of checking for lag, right? Because it's directly checking whether or not a game event has occurred. So yes, means you'd have to add in a tagging system, right? In which case it tags itself, delivers the effect, and then clears the tag after that 5-second window, right? Otherwise, again, if it's, for instance, you made a set of armor that did extra damage to whoever attacked you, similar to Thorns, it would, again, continue to proc for that whole 5 seconds, and that is a little bit questionable for what I want to use it for. But nonetheless, right, so we're using us as the catalyst. We'll move over to using the entity as the catalyst. So nice and simple, execute as the entity, again, as location, dependent on what type of function you're trying to run, right? So it should say hit on our behalf when we hit something, since, again, it's acting as the husk, and we're the ones hitting it, and once again, it should last for an entire 5 seconds. So for instance, if we wanted to instead, or how would you check if something has been attacked? That's the better question. Target would act as the husk on whatever the husk is attacking. On attacker, no. Yeah, okay, so this still doesn't work unless we use a predicate, right? I think you can use that to target, but since we can't directly act on us targeting something, you can't just do for instance, you hit something and it summons a lightning bolt, right? You can use markers or locations. You can just do the up arrows to do in front of the player, but we can't directly just do, we attack something, the lightning bolt's going to happen at its location, it seems like, which is a little bit sad, right? Execute as entity at entity, right, on behalf of the attacker. So currently at our location, what can we do? No, it's literally just the target, and the target is not available on behalf of the player. Yeah, so I think the only option would be to set up a predicate, which sort of limits what you can do with it in terms of command blocks, unfortunately, right? Interactions still work, again, because we're the one interacting with it. But, yeah, What are we doing exactly here? We're executing as the entity on target, but that still records as us, right? What happens if I set this to target? That should still be whatever the husk is attacking, not us attacking it, yeah. So if the husk attacks us now, it's still acting on us. So irrespective, the chain is basically we can trigger it when we attack something or when the husk attacks us, but it's always going to act on behalf of us. And that sort of limits the type of effects we can do. We can do like buffs. Whenever you hit an entity, you gain strength, you gain speed, you gain haste, whatever you want to do. But we can't inflict something upon an entity we're targeting. Again, unless we swap over to predicates, which I don't mind using, but I like seeing what's functional with commands. Let me just look through and see if I can figure something out. Right, so yeah, looking into it, no. There's no way to execute as the player targeting something, right? Which I think is probably the most desirable. Again, sword effect, super simple. It's just then execute on whatever you hit. But once again, you can do it through the new enchantments, or you can use predicate. So it's not a big deal if you're making data pack, just if you're doing commands, then it's a bit limiting. But lastly, what I just want to, check out is we did attacker and we did target, but why don't we, go through all of them. So for instance, if we do, we'll leave them all as execute E, right? But if we do owner, for instance, or I should say, I think origin is going to be for bows, right? So for instance, if we have a bow and we shoot an arrow, because we're the origin of the arrow, it should say hit. Yeah, perfect, right? So origin is whoever created it. So TNT probably works. Bow, crossbow, trident as well. Throwing a trident should also do the same thing, which that's in itself a nice way, right? You can do trident effects, you can do arrow effects in that sense. I think it's done. Yeah, now it's starting again as the trident. But if you want to do it on behalf of the trident, right, there wouldn't really be a way. You'd have to, again, tag it to redirect it. You can use this as the trigger when it's created, but again, using the enchants, right, for data packs would be a lot simpler. And you don't have to make all enchantments accessible through the enchanting table. Then we also have owner. I am curious about owner. That feels like it will be specifically for tameable arrows. Why is this being modified? Oh, right, because we did custom arrow effects a little while ago. And then we also have... Actually, can we do it this way? If I attack a husk with an arrow... Ooh. But again, it's still acting on behalf of us, right? It's not... You could do it... An arrow hitting a target, maybe? Right, let's see if that works as the arrow. So we shoot, the arrow is an entity, and the arrow is targeting the husk. I don't know if it's because it died, but we'll try again. No, so the arrow is not... The arrow is not an entity that can detect whether or not it's attacking or something. It's acting on behalf of us, so we're the attacker, always. So that's a bit unfortunate. Otherwise, again, a simple way to do arrow effects with commands rather than using enchantments. Vehicle would just be us getting in a boat, right? Or a minecart or anything that you can ride. Which that, in a sense, is also really nice, because I do have a few mount things, right? So being able to detect the passenger. So that's the boat, because it's a vehicle, but if we do passengers, this should act as anyone, in the boat, right? So it's definitely versatile, right? And will be worth rewriting some portions of my pack with, but... I think overall, I just need to look into predicates. There's tons of stuff that I can do because, I've been working on it for like 2 years now. And altogether, there's a lot of advancements, right? Minecraft's actually just exploded when it comes to the back-end development, right? They're really adding a bunch of stuff to try to reboom player creativity, which is great, right? But... when there's more fun stuff to play around with, God, I'm never going to end up releasing my pack, but I think we'll leave it there for today, right? So, yeah, just messed around with the command. I think the next series that we'll probably start is making a data pack together, right? Basically, I will be remaking my data pack and polishing it, and then hopefully having a proper release. And the way I want to do it, better than now, which is just, if I think of a feature, I add it, do all the core features, proper full release, and then regular updates, right? Would be much nicer situation, and then I don't have to get bogged down with testing and everything. But I digress. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. See ya.